lived in a castle made of coral. It was filled with colorful plants that swayed gracefully in the current. Fish of all shapes and sizes glided between their branches as birds do on land. The Sea King had 6 daughters. The youngest was the loveliest of all, as always. She was quiet and thoughtful, and she had the most beautiful singing voice of all the mermaids in the kingdom. Nothing gave the youngest princess more pleasure than to hear about the world above the sea. It seemed wonderful to her that the flowers on land had fragrance and that the fish, which were called birds there, could sing. On her 15th birthday, each princess was allowed to visit the water's surface for the first time. Year after year, the little mermaid watched her older sisters take their turns. They were delighted with what they saw, but soon, since they could go up whenever they pleased, the older girls became indifferent. Finally, it was the little mermaid's turn. She waved goodbye to her sisters and rose swiftly to the surface. As she broke through the water, the little mermaid saw a large ship. Strange music spilled from the deck, and hundreds of colored lanterns were lit in celebration. She swam closer and saw a handsome young prince. She watched him for a long time and realized it was his birthday too. The wind began to blow harder, and the sky grew very dark. Pounding waves battered the prince's ship, and she could hear it creak and groan. Suddenly, in a flash of lightning, she saw the handsome prince fall into the sea and begin to sink. At first, the little mermaid was happy that the handsome prince would come to her father's kingdom, but then she remembered that the human prince could not survive beneath the sea. She dove under the waves and used all of her strength to pull the prince's head above the water. Then she brought him safely to shore. Tenderly, the little mermaid brushed the hair from the prince's face and bent her head to kiss his forehead. When she heard excited shouts from the other end of the beach, she knew that she must leave him. She took one last look at the prince, then quickly slipped beneath the surface of the water. For many days, the little mermaid could think of nothing but the handsome prince. When she told her sisters, they wept with her. "Perhaps the sea witch will agree to help you," they said. The brave little mermaid went to the sea witch at once. When she arrived, the witch knew why she had come. "Princess, I can give you human legs so you can walk and dance on land," she said. "But in return, you must give me your lovely voice." The little mermaid agreed to the terms. The witch prepared the magic potion and sealed it tightly in a bottle. Then she captured the little mermaid's voice, so the girl could neither speak nor sing. The little mermaid swam to the surface and drank the potion without hesitation. She felt quite strange, and her tail began to ache. Then, before her eyes, her tail transformed into 2 beautiful human legs. The prince was on his morning walk when he discovered the beautiful silent girl on the beach. Not knowing how else to help her, he brought her with him to the palace. The little mermaid was given gowns of fine silk and muslin to wear. She was the most beautiful creature in the palace, but she could not communicate with her voice. Instead, the girl used her graceful movements and expressive eyes to speak to those around her. She danced and glided on her new legs, as though she were swimming on land. Everyone in the palace was enchanted by the little mermaid, especially the prince. He felt as if he had met her before. Everywhere the prince went, the little mermaid was by his side. They rode together on horseback through the sweet-scented woods. Green boughs touched their shoulders, and little birds sang among the fresh leaves. She climbed with the prince to the tops of tall mountains. They wound their way higher and higher until they could see soft clouds far below them. As the days passed, the little mermaid loved the prince more dearly, and he also grew very fond of her. At night, when the royal household was asleep, the little mermaid would follow the broad marble steps from the palace down to the water's edge. There she would sit in the moonlight and bathe her weary feet in the cool seawater. Her thoughts would turn to her beloved family deep in the water below. One night her sisters rose to the surface, singing sorrowfully as they floated on the water. She beckoned to them, and they recognized her and swam closer. They told the little mermaid how much they missed her,